Hello and welcome from the island of Pohnpei in the Federated States of Micronesia. Let me give everyone a warm island welcome. Kasheleli, Elenwo, Rananim, Mogetin, and Ola. I want to thank her Future Summit for this opportunity to speak to you today and to Global Startup Ecosystem and partners for hosting this event. I am honored to join you for my second Her Future Summit. Last year, I pulled back the curtain and shared what my team at United States Embassy Colonia and I do as we work for the American people in service of the bilateral relationship between the United States and the Federated States of Micronesia, or FSM for short. The FSM and the United States have a great partnership with shared values and goals. Our embassy, as all do, first work to serve the interests of the American people. But based on our mission goals and FSM's shared values, we have a mandate to support women of all ages in the FSM as well. I will talk today about our work to champion the development of women leadership, women's entrepreneurship, and girls and women's empowerment. Let's dive in. In reflecting on this incredible journey, which led me to becoming the U.S. Ambassador to the FSM in early 2020, and my recent nomination by President Joe Biden to be Assistant Secretary of the Department of Interior's Office of Insular and International Affairs, I remain astonished as to where my life and career has taken me. On my unique path to become ambassador, I can see that the choices that I have made since childhood have brought me where I am today. Every organization that I was a member of, every degree that I earned, every distinct job I had in my almost 32-year public service career came together to form a special set of skills and experiences, even if I didn't know it at the time. They all prepared me for this position, this responsibility, and opportunities that follow. I am from Mayagüez, a city in Puerto Rico. I was always looking for adventure, so I became a Girl Scout, and as a teenager, I became a cadet officer of the Civil Air Patrol, where for the first time in my life, I had the honor to represent the United States as part of the International Air Cadet Exchange Program in Canada and the United Kingdom. These formative experiences were important because they gave me a leadership foundation early on. As a college junior and senior at El Colegio de Mayagüez, University of Puerto Rico, I work as a research assistant with the Sea Grant Program, a program that works to create and maintain a healthy coastal environment and economy. This is especially relevant today as the FSM is a country with 607 islands, and we work with them to mitigate the effects of climate change. Now, I mentioned what I did as a junior and senior in college, but let me tell you how I got there. During my first year at the University of Puerto Rico, I was an industrial engineering student trying to decide whether engineering was the field for me. As I thought it through, I realized that I wanted to work with people in an international environment. The University of Puerto Rico didn't offer a degree in international relations, so without telling my parents, I changed my major from industrial engineering to sociology. And I still remember very distinctly my father's reaction to the news. Mija, ¿por qué estás dejando ingeniería? ¿Qué es sociología? ¿Y qué tú vas a hacer con eso? What's sociology and what are you going to do with that degree? I didn't know at the time where sociology would take me, but here we are 33 years later, and I think it worked out okay. You see, me being here today before you as a U.S. ambassador is, shall we say, improbable. What are the odds a woman born and raised in Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, someone who went to public schools, someone who needed Pell Grants to finance a college education at a public university, someone who spoke English with an accent, the daughter of an Army veteran with an 8th grade education, and who was one of 18 siblings, the daughter of a woman so poor she only had one pair of shoes growing up? What are the odds someone who looks and sounds like me will be here today in front of all of you representing the United States overseas as an ambassador? All of you watching this video today, never give up. Hard work, perseverance, support, and guidance from mentors and sponsors will take you places. The U.S. Embassy is known to many Americans abroad as a place to go if you lose your passport or to apply for a visa if you are in need of an emergency advice or assistance. It is all of those things, but it is also so much more. In my role as Chief of Mission, I oversee and coordinate the efforts of several U.S. agencies located in the FSM who work in tandem, including the Department of Defense, Department of Agriculture, United States Agency for International Development, and the Department of the Interior. This diverse group of agencies, when woven together with our dedicated and talented local staff, forms a very strong team. The work we do as a U.S. mission and our overall objectives are part of this overarching principle to safeguard U.S. interests while improving the lives and livelihoods of the host country's citizens. We do that by providing targeted resources, including the best, most effective practices from the United States. Let me tell you a little about the FSM and share with you some of our key initiatives. The FSM as a sovereign nation is young, as we just celebrated its 35th anniversary last year. It has a very young population. According to the World Factbook, more than 46% of the country is under the age of 25. One of my highest priorities since arriving over 2 years ago has been empowerment of women and girls, and we do this in many ways. We have partnered and funded grants for the International Office of Migration, or IOM, to support women's economic development across the 3 freely associated states, which include the FSM, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, and Palau. One program is called Inspiring Women's Action Through Collective Action, a $2.2 million grant to remove barriers to gender equality. Through IOM, the grant funds local non-governmental organizations and deserving women to help break stereotypes and raising awareness of gender discrimination, and teach women about finance, banking, advertising, and small grants to grow their businesses. Let me introduce you to Esther. She lives in the municipality of Kichi in the state of Pohnpei. As an Iowa grantee, she received $5,000 in startup funds last summer to help start her small business. In a recent interview, she shared her appreciation of the Iowa program. Her startup grant allowed her to establish a home garden, and she's now growing and selling her produce at the local markets. Esther talked about how her farm has galvanized the community as people now come to her to seek advice and purchase her seedlings to grow their own crops. We also have worked on several other important projects to support women. We helped restart the Pohnpei Girl Scouts in 2020. Since then, the local chapter has blossomed, doubling their numbers from 25 to 50 in 18 months, and joined a host community projects and other volunteer activities. Look at these pictures of their fashion show of recycled wear, attended by schools around Pohnpei. And for our collective sweet tooth, the Girl Scouts are selling Girl Scout cookies on Pohnpei for the first time to raise funds for their own activities. We continue to participate in the Blackout Violence Pohnpei campaign to raise awareness about domestic violence issues. Another way we supported women and girls is through a panel I hosted for Women's History Month and International Women's Day. With more than 75 high school student leaders, government officials, NGOs, and women leaders as guests, we honored 2 women who made giant contributions to improve women's rights in the FSM and focus on finding answers for moving the FSM to a more equitable society and support this year's International Women's Day theme of Break the Bias. You will note in the photo that men are also there to participate, as we need everyone in order to beat false stereotypes and achieve gender equality. I also engaged in a series of unprecedented meetings with traditional leaders throughout Pohnpei. The fact that most of the delegation was women definitely was noticed, with one leader pointing out that this was the first time he had hosted a woman U.S. ambassador. Being visible and showing the women and girls of the FSM that women can and do fill roles of power and responsibility is so very important for their education and growth. I am pleased and proud that the U.S. Embassy in Colonia also can showcase the talented women on our staff. Before I close, let me tell you a bit about COVID-19. Something you might not know is that the FSM is one of only 2 countries in the world to be completely COVID-19 free. Vaccine reluctance was a big issue here, and that is why one of the first things I accomplished in the FSM stands out with a very special guest, Dr. Anthony Fauci. It is amazing what you can accomplish with a simple request. Last year, I asked him if he could help us address the Micronesian people's concerns about the pandemic and the vaccines, and he agreed to a short videotape interview, which we played on our embassy's Facebook page. This interview was tremendously helpful in tackling people's concerns about the vaccines we provided to the FSM in the fight against COVID-19, and in encouraging them to get vaccinated as soon as possible. The embassy has now held 4 vaccine drives and have immunized over 600 people. I am excited about the progress our efforts have made in supporting women, and I encourage all of you to do what you can to lead, influence others, and make a difference, no matter your circumstances. I thank you very much for your time today. Muchísimas gracias. Kalangan, Kini Soshapur, Kulumulap, and Kamagar.